good, you can just let us know through the music.
Okay, yeah. It'll be a bit.
Sure, no problem.
I'm getting a good...
We're
going live here. I don't think you can actually physically see, but I got that whole screen barely, but I still get an idea, and I got a full podium. This is a good location because I really didn't want to mute people's way.
Yeah. I just picturing it like in the middle of the aisle.
Excuse me.
No, this is good.
Live feed. Viewers already.
Oh my gosh.
And they're hearing everything we're saying. You can probably talk to the microphone, but... Wow. You just upped the count.
Hi, Nicole. How's it going?
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Anything else?
No, I think that's what it is. It's funny because I was at home, I was practicing like lots of reverb and like tremolo and stuff like that, and I was like, oh yeah, Gord's gonna have that for sure. But it's totally like cleanest signal, so it'll be great. But
I noticed in the back of the amp there is a pedal.
there's distortion pedal. But I won't go there with it today. I won't shred. But it's funny, some of the stuff that I knew, like some of the songs, they're actually really sort of like sad chord progressions. And I was sort of like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But it's just a Gord song, you know? So this would be good, but I'm like, this might be kind of overkill, or I don't know, I don't know. I was just sort of thinking about how it might sound, but I think it'll fit.
Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. So I mean, I don't know when, like in the next little bit, I guess, we'll start playing this.
Yeah, probably they'll open the doors to here. Probably the next one.
Okay. Yeah.
Good.
Myself together here and
Awesome.
that's going. How you doing?
Good. Actually, yeah.
There's a lot. Even just for me, I'm sure. Just coming out to manage. It's good for me to get it together. Just myself, and my tie on.
I know. When I was leaving, I said, "Is this a hairstyle?"
Yeah.
My mom went, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm done.
Good. Yeah. Check these guys.
Yeah.
Little station all set up. A high-tech place here.
Yeah. At first, I was like, "Is that weird?" But I think
It's all about whether, like, people want to...
No, it's
Yeah.
I think it's like super Gord.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, you might like...
I like that I
Even if Gord's not admitted, I think it's super Gord.
Yeah. Just like the Facebook page.
Yeah.
feel comfortable with
Before I would post any photos, or even like his back to the camera, I'd be like, "Is it okay to touch the picture?" And he'd be like, and now there's like,
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just
sure what that one.
Hi. Hello.
You know what I think is funny? The littlest socks have the tread, but now the socks that Frances wears, and she's actually like pulling herself up, don't have the tread. Yeah.
Hi.
Oh man, you are
Happy?
Do you know we
He likes it.
actually found some books for you, frankly. They look a lot. I mean, not a lot.
I
They look
think
like,
babies.
but they're just.
Yeah, you have giant eyes like your friend. Oh, man.
No, you haven't. It's totally fine. I was wondering.
Well, that's the best look I've got yet today.
Yeah, so it looks like it's got the whole screen. That's holding it. Something like that. I think there's a lot of so I think some people just see this
But I'm gonna die.
No.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like in like this 5 years, I'm gonna start playing. I want to really
It actually is a good view.
It's what?
I got that whole screen. I need a
Coming around the back.
I think we'll be believe it or not. Is that still?
Yeah, it's fine.
Still okay?
Yeah, still shows.
We'll sit with you. So, maybe one more.
silent or turn it off. welcome. On behalf of Nicole, Frankie, Arlene, Graham, and Lorraine, thank you for being here today. My name is Danny, and I'm Gord's uncle. I know that because he always called me Uncle Danny. I'm not a minister nor a pastor, but I'm sure I've been called a heathen a couple of times in my life. With that in mind, this will be a very casual occasion. We will be hearing from a few of the many important people in Gord's life. This service is also being Skyped around the world as Gord touched people everywhere. And when the people do come up to talk, they've asked that you talk into the mic because it's being recorded. We're here today to celebrate the life of Gordon Paul High. Thank you for joining us in the celebration for Gord's life. Over the past 4 to 5 years, Gord has battled long and hard with Nicole steadfast by his side. Never did anyone think that they would have a child, even the doctors. And then little Frankie came along. She's a bright light that will shine forever in our lives. If Gord is here with us today, we know he is proud and grateful for all the support he has received from the people in this room. And we hope that this kind of support will transfer over to Nicole and Francis.
One day when we were coming home from the hospital in the cab, Gord said, "I'll never be able to talk at our wedding." So I hope I can do this. Before there was Gord's List, there was Craigslist. And that's where Gord and I met. I had gone on a bunch of terrible dates, and I threw in the towel because they were all such duds. But I kept my hobby of looking through men looking for women posts and pairing them up with women looking for men posts. And that's when I saw it was titled Craigslist Collective, spelled with K's and no E at the end of collective. And it said he was looking for someone more interested in making things than in buying things. Also, someone who didn't care about cell phones or designer jeans. I couldn't get it out of my head, and it took me 3 days before I broke my no more dating rule and responded. The day I responded, he wrote me back saying he was just about to take his post off. A bunch of emails, epic phone calls, and the rest is history. The rest changed my life forever. Gord's the most honest, realist, and strongest person I have ever met. And even through incredibly painful times, he was able to maintain such a strong sense of self. That self was sometimes, a lot of the times, very difficult to handle. But I respect him so much for how he dealt with his illness, with a lot of strength and a lot of grace. He taught me a lot during my time with him. He showed me how to be me and how that was enough. He taught me you don't need a recipe, you just need the right ingredients. He taught me that we have an inner strength that we don't know is there. And he taught me that life is worth fighting for, especially a good, simple one, filled with friends, music, making things, and good food. He taught me that it's okay to stop, that stopping is not giving up. Sometimes stopping takes more strength and courage than to go on. Gord loves collage, and now I know why. At the risk of looking for a metaphor where there may be none, I got to make this observation. He was a collage. In the past week, I've learned more about him than I ever knew there was to learn. I've met so many people from all different parts of his life. I've heard and read so many stories. all these different bits pasted together to make one fascinating, colorful, and very cohesive piece. I'm so thankful for all of this. I'm so thankful for all of his friends and family who can tell both Frankie and I all about him. I'm also so thankful that after so many years of him hurting and fighting so hard, that we finally have a chance to come together and celebrate him. I love you, G High.
Well done. We're going to now hear from Gord's good friend, Mike Murphy.
Gord and I met in 1991 at the Art Department of the University of Guelph. Printmaking 101 with Professor Jean Chu. Copper plates, rosin, lithostones, and grease markers. Many fantastic characters were there, but my memory circled around Dave Blackwood, Gordy, and myself. We spent long hours into the night working on our projects, and we worked hard. One of the projects was the woodcut. You get a surface and you carve into that surface, roll some ink on the top, and then print the image that you carved out of it. When an old master like Albrecht Dürer did a woodcut, he sourced these tight-grained logs that were cut on end, and he spent weeks with minute chisels creating intricate cross-hatched images that impressed royalty the world over. Lots of students in that class loved to make woodcuts like Albrecht Dürer. Gord didn't. He had no interest in impressing royalty, or any other member of the bourgeoisie for that matter. He asked his dad if he could borrow his Dremel, and he found a whole pile of discarded white signmaker's plastic on the side of the road. He took Polly's Dremel, and he carved up that plastic in rapid-fire time. White plastic chips were everywhere, and Gord bombed through ideas and images at a breakneck pace. Then he got to printing them. Printmakers, like Albrecht Dürer, would wash their hands between prints and ensure that each print was a perfect reproduction of the last one. And printing ink is a bit like a virus. It gets smeared over everything, and it's really hard to get rid of. Impossible to wash off. Gord was really upset that the print shop hand cleaner provided by the University of Guelph was made from beef tallow. Why could a vegetable hand cleaner not be used instead? His concern for the well-being of animals was very strong and ensured, so he didn't use it. And it showed in his prints. Gord's prints were a bit of a professor's disaster. Inky thumbprints, misaligned registration, unnumbered editions, and just general print shop mayhem probably offset his grades just a little bit. I have 3 of his prints proudly hung on my wall, and I know many others in this room and the 2 overflow rooms here cherish the works of Gord in their homes. There's nothing wrong with a thumbprint here and there. It reassures me that I know a real person made these images. He did it on his own terms and with his own process. Gord wanted me to see the radio station where he volunteered. He told me I should put together a show. We talked about music. I said I have no idea how to work a radio board, so he asked me to sit on a program that he was working on to get a feel for the place. I agreed. When Gord asks, you don't say no. When I arrived, he informed me that he had booked both Studio A and Studio B for a broadcast. He pulled out a copy of work by the Toronto Punks, The Fifth Column, and he set about just utterly dismantling this 7-inch record. He had reel-to-reel machines hooked up to one another in Studio B, creating insane alchemical layers of sound, punching in just a few seconds of the track at a time, all the while jumping from one studio to another for one of those classic sped-up Gordy tape rewinds. I thought we were going to play some records, and he said, "Oh, we can, but it's more fun to make music with all of this stuff." And this radio experience eventually morphed into Double Trouble, where we tore apart 70s Jamaican records we loved in order to generate a new configuration, just because we could. Our fan base was small, but devoted. Where am I? Sorry, one second. It was small but devoted. I have heard rumors that tapes of the broadcast found their way to other parts of the world via his Gord friends and travels, and that for a few years there, we were big into bed. Kind of like his prints, all of his records have thumbprints on them. Nicole was helping Gord separate a lot of my records from Gord's in a dub pile that we shared. When she asked Gord how we'd know the difference between a Murph record and a Gord copy, he replied, "Murphy's records are in good shape." I can't pack 20 years of collaboration, conversation, and friendship into a few words like this, but I can let you know some of the key qualities I will always remember him for. First, his generosity. Gord would show up at my house with 3 or 4 new records just out of the blue. "Yeah, I was down at the CBC record fair, and I bought these for you." Or, "Hey man, these just came for you. I did a phase 1 label record order, and it just came in." He was kind of like this benevolent record fairy, always dropping something at the right time. But, more importantly, perhaps the thing he was most generous with was his time. As we get older, and as we get more involved with the complexities of life, that luxury of just hanging out seems to disappear. Gord resisted that and made time happen. Like the regular Monday jam sessions with Tim, Chris, Jonathan, long phone conversations, an hour and a half on the phone, the battery in my phone would die. It just went on and on. Gord's door was always open, and many mornings I would just climb the back steps and knock on that door. We'd make coffee and shoot the breeze, maybe check out his latest jams, and just generally hang out. And I have Nicole to thank for that too. I'm sorry for waking you up some mornings, for giving you a headache with some of the sonic squeals that emitted from that studio. Secondly was his approach to friendship. Over the years, I was constantly introduced to friend after friend of Gord's. "Who's that?" I'd ask him. And his answer would invariably be, "Oh, a good old friend." He just stayed in touch with people. He kept in contact. There are close friends of Gord's that I still look forward to meeting these days. I haven't met everybody yet. He was not always the easiest friend. He could be grumpy at times, but there was always the push to patch it up and to make it right. He loved all of his friends, and I feel honored to have spent time with him in true friendship. And looking out here in this room, I know I'm not alone. Finally, his commitment. Gord was always committed to his art, to his talent, to his job at the CBC, to his many friends, and most importantly, to his family. Over the years, Gord would often speak fondly of Arlene and Paul, Lorraine and Graham. He was so proud of you all, and he would share his enthusiasm for all of your achievements. I remember one day Gord telling me about his new girlfriend, Nicole. Right on. Where'd you guys meet? He sheepishly said, "The internet." Thank God for the internet. What can't it do, eh? Gord told me that Nicole was the one, and that he wanted to raise a family with her. Nicole, Gord will always love you. He was so committed to you, And Frankie brought that extra level of wonder and amazement into your lives. Fantastic child. And we're starting to see glimpses of Mr. High and your mannerisms already. This morning, getting ready to come to the funeral, a neighbor knocked on our door and told us that the window of our minivan was smashed last night. It was a random and meaningless act that we had no control over. All we could do was go outside, rearrange our plans, and pick up the broken pieces. This is a lesson learned from Gord.
We're now going to call on Marco Kesor to say a few words. Marco?
You've got a few things to say, don't you?
I'm sure that Frankie would like to say a few words too. She'll get her chance. There were many editions of the short few words that I'll say. I often see Gord squinting at me from somewhere. And I will always be grateful for that. And the clearest thing that came to me was that I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here in whatever capacity, in whatever form, because you have been such a part of a great love. And the love that you are feeling this moment is the most important thing in the world. So let it shine and let it play. A piece of art that Gord produced at my house was the crucial aspects of time capsules. I don't know where this came from, but it was I recall a stressful time, aimlessness and boredom and frustration and confusion for me. And he just started scribbling. The first point was to be confident. You can find the whole thing on Gord's list page. 3 points were: be confident, remember the future, and corrupt the obvious. So you are tuned in. We are all tuned in to channel Gord High. Broadcasting far and wide on all frequencies. Unregulated. Commercial free. Experiment. Punk. Home rock. Gord's confidence continues to inspire me to seize this moment, to pull a sense of direction out of chaos, and to ride high with a grace that still defies my definition. This dedication to excellence will always be an integral part of my life, and it seems that he touched so many lives. I can see the integrity just reflecting from all these points. And it is with a joyous heart that I remember my friend, our friend. On my way here, there was a Canadian flag, and it was just like this, you know, in the wind, like. And I couldn't help but remember, you know, these pins, home rock pins, and there was always a meaning, of course, behind things. If the windsock was erect, then it's too windy to go flying. You should stay home and make some rock. So thank you, and God be with you.
Thank you, Marco. As Nicole said earlier, a lot of people sent through, I guess, the internet. I'm not very much with computers, so I'm going to say that, through the internet. And I picked out a few to read to you. There were many, but obviously we can't read them all. But these were ones that kind of caught our attention, Arlene's and Nicole's and mine. So I'm going to read some of them out to you. This is called, Does This Sound Like Gord? This one's from John Fortin. I remember walking with Gord one afternoon when he suddenly started tapping out this amazing drum beat on a light post. It took me a minute to realize that he was actually jamming to the sound of a car alarm going off in a nearby parking lot. That's the Gord I remember, an imaginative spirit and an ability to find beauty in everything. The next one I found kind of cute. It's from my daughter, Kim. The day I found out that Cousin Gord was my hero, we were at a family party at Aunt Arlene and Uncle Paul's. We were in the kitchen, and Gord picked up a 2-liter bottle of Coke and drank the whole thing without even taking a breath. I couldn't believe it. He finished the bottle, looked at me and laughed with that huge smile of his. Yep, he was my hero that day. I'm just wondering if it was really Coke. Probably was. This is from Gord's sister, Lorraine. Gord was what marketing types call an early adopter. He always knew what was cool years before things became popular. We went up north and he bought the ugliest turquoise shoes I had ever seen at the Home Hardware in Buckhorn. He wouldn't stop talking about how they were stink-proof, washable, floated on water, and of course were made in Canada. After a few weeks, my mom, dad, husband, and I were wearing our own. He wanted to buy a case. This one was from Joe Miato. Gord showed up at our apartment and pulled out a 2-day-old Panzerotti jerky from a wrinkly brown paper bag in his backpack and ate it while sitting on our floor, and he got annoyed with us for questioning his palatability. I can just see that. This is from Gord's mom, Arlene. Gord was always advanced, and he talked early. When I would take him out, people were amazed at what he was able to do and always asked his age. I guess he kind of got sick of it and decided he was going to do the answering. Once, when we were in the cleaners, he was watching intently, and the lady said, "How old is he?" And before I could reply, he said, 19 months. That's pretty amazing. And the last one that I have right now is from Arlene as well. Gord hated school at 5 years old. He refused to go. His kindergarten teacher, Mrs. T, had a difficult time with him. She tried everything to get Gord to conform. She even threatened to send him back to nursery school. That was all he needed. He wasn't about to back down. He balked so much that the principal got involved, a psychologist, and eventually a school board representative. Gord summed it up for all of them when someone asked him what the problem was. And he responded, "She's the problem." That's what's the problem. They moved him to another school and he flourished. Finally, one of Gord's classic lines when he was in kindergarten, "Mom, I feel like a chicken and an egg in that school. An egg that can't hatch." Pretty amazing. Gord is many things to many people. He is a co-worker and a friend. He is a cousin and a nephew. He is a doting uncle. He's a cherished grandson. He is the big brother. He is the faithful son. He is the precious partner and soulmate. He is the incredibly loving father. When I was told by my wife Linda that Gord had passed away, I regretted that I hadn't got to know him more in his adult years. But I thought, this happens in life. He grew up, went to university out of town, got a job in Toronto. We seen him on holidays and special occasions if he came home. When Nicole and Arlene asked me to do this today, Arlene gave me a bunch of emails from his friends and co-workers and some relatives. I quickly found out who Gord the man was. He was cherished and loved by everyone around him. I would just like to tell you now some of the words and phrases that people used to describe Gord. He was my hero. He was smart, knowledgeable, and witty, a true class act. He was an inspiration to all of us. He embodied the kind of fierce intelligence that is not easily constrained by the conventions of the time. He was compassionate and kind. He inspired me. He made me laugh so hard I peed my pants. He had a sparkle in his eye when he spoke of Nicole and Frank. Gord always had time for people. He was a fantastic and authentic guy. He was the happiest and most optimistic person that I have ever met, and always thought of other people before himself. And from what I understand, at the CBC office there's a rubber plant. that the workers pass around and everyone takes care of it. It's called Gordy. It was his plan. When I was preparing my thoughts and notes for today, I was doing it mentally as I was working. I drive a city bus in St. Catharines. I know I went by a couple of stops when passengers rang the bell. Which means I probably drove by a few people waiting at the bus stops. If I have a report to my office letter in the mailbox tomorrow, I'll know why. Anyway, the more I thought about Gord and his days with our family, two recurring memories kept coming to me. The first was of Gord, fast asleep in the back seat of his parents' car on the day Linda and I got married in 1973. He was a beautiful little boy in his new blazer and pants and new shoes. His hair was so blonde it looked white. Life was good, with not a worry in the world. The second memory was when I was giving my speech at my daughter's wedding in 1982. My son-in-law is Italian. Therefore, half the hall was Italian-speaking Italians. So I thought it would be kind of neat if I started my speech by welcoming all the guests in Italian. No sooner did I get the first words out, when out in the crowd I heard this yelling and hip-hip hurraying from the table where the High clan was sitting. Remember that? Here was Gordy giving me a standing ovation for speaking in Italian. Then the entire High family followed Gord's lead. Then the whole room was standing and cheering. I guess Gord thought that was pretty neat, coming from his Uncle Danny, who only speaks English and the odd profanity. I'm so thankful for being chosen to do this today. I now know Gord and Paul High. He was one hell of a guy. We will now hear from another of Gord's friends, Ailsa Critter.
Hi. I first met Gord in grade 6 or grade 7, I'm not sure which, when we were on a bus back from a shared class trip. We didn't go to the same school, but I knew some of the people in his class, like Mary Brindle from earlier school years. Gord was in the enrichment program in St. Catharines at Scott Lee, and I was in the Grimsby version of that enrichment group at Lakeview. And occasionally there would be trips or events where these sister classes of guinea pig gifted children were thrown together. Events like creative problem-solving competitions where skills like brainstorming, analysis, application, and evaluation were turned into timed competitive sports. On the bus back, I wanted to meet Gord. As enrichment kids, we all wanted to meet the other kids who were just as odd as we were. And I wanted to meet Gord because he was sitting under a sheet. And I found that compelling. I'm not sure why I found it compelling, and I'm not sure why he was under a sheet. And I don't think he ever explained it. If I was fool enough to ask him, I'm pretty sure he would have just given me that look. Seriously. All I knew was that I was really sure that getting invited under that sheet seemed like the coolest thing that could possibly happen on that bus. Now, despite meeting a couple of times over enrichment years, most of the time I spent with Gord was in high school, and I owe this to Jonathan Culp, bless him, who turned around to me on the school bus one day and said, "Hey, if you were locked in a room with a set of drums, do you think you could make noise on them?" I said, "I think so. You want to be in my band?" That band with Gord, Jonathan, me, and Ken Stevenson was the Suck Trumpets. We pulled all-night jam sessions. Jonathan recording us as we walked along dark orchard roads in the wee hours of the morning, singing improvised lyrics as cars approached, blinding us with their high beams. We were cynical, tuneless, hormonal, sarcastic, ambitious, angst-ridden, joyful romantics. As adults, Gord and I were not in regular contact, but we've tended to keep track of one another at the edges of our lives and check in, sometimes after really long intervals. He could be a touchstone, a grounding place. One of those times, this is about 13 years ago, when it had been near a decade since we'd spent much time together at all, we found each other again and we were chatting on the phone. I was trying to make decisions, relationship decisions, and I was talking to him about wishing that I had a bit of space just to take to myself and to sort some things through. And even though we'd barely spoken for 10 years, he didn't even pause. "Elf," he said, "the porch light's on. The key's under the mat." And the next day, I went to his place and I stayed for 3 days. He cooked polenta and amazing pasta, and we talked late into the night each night I was there. Me on the couch, him on a mattress on the floor, with a shortwave radio that he held on his chest, twiddling the dials as if he were tending to a baby until he fell asleep. Last spring, we found each other again, me now living in Newfoundland, and during one phone conversation of nearly 2 hours, there were two main things that we talked about: the Great Eastern and Frankie. Now, let me give you some background. The Great Eastern, which I had no idea what it was until Gord told me, and then I had to go to Wikipedia so I could get ready for this anyway. So, The Great Eastern was a radio comedy show on CBC that ran from 94 to 99 that purported to be a long-running Newfoundland news and culture show that included a regular segment called "What's That Noise from Newfoundland?" Gordon couldn't believe that I didn't know the show and insisted that I needed to listen to the full series, and I still have to make good on that promise. Mac Furlong played the host of the show, a character named Paul Moss, who had a shoe fetish, a fear of being probed by aliens, and a past career directing Mexican versions of Lassie movies. Aside from playing the character of Paul Moss, Mac Furlong was one of the show's writers. Mac Furlong, Gord said, is a comedic genius. Now, I'd heard of Mac Furlong. He now does trivia on Friday afternoons with Ramona Deering on Radio Noon. I'm a good St. John's resident. I know these things. I'm not sure if you could even call Mac a minor celebrity, but Gord dropped his name as though everyone would or should know it. Gord told me that when he and Nicole came to Newfoundland a few years ago, he made his way into the CBC studio and he got a chance to meet Mac Furlong. And when he met Mac, one of the things he said to him was, "I bet you never thought you'd be someone's Make-A-Wish." I planned to come into Ontario this past week, a while back, and as the date approached, I wanted to bring something for Gord, something that was fun, something distracting, and something that would be really just for him. I was trying to think of what that could possibly be, and then I realized St. John's is not a big city, so I decided to track down Mac Furlong. "Do you remember Gord High?" I asked. "He came to visit you a few years back. He's got leukemia." "My God, how could I forget?" "That guy knows more about the Great Eastern than I do." No doubt. Mac very graciously agreed to my request, and the weekend before Gord died, he wrote a card for me to bring to him. And unfortunately, I didn't get here in time to deliver the card, but I do have it with me, GH on the outside, and that's the famous person we should all know. I'll leave it somewhere so that people can see. He's printed it off on his laser printer because he doesn't have a headshot. The problem is that the message is all in reference to the show, and I have no idea what this might mean. He writes, Gord, pick me up a wheel of Bombay shrimp cheese. Yours in the warmth of coal-fired radio, Paul Moss. There's then a picture of a chihuahua. Next to which it says, Pero pequeño, amore grande. Repito. So, this is for Gord. Aside from talking about the Great Eastern and Mac Furlong in that one especially long phone call, as I already mentioned, Gord and I also talked about Frankie. In fact, in one email exchange around that time, I told Gord that I'd fallen for someone, and he responded, I'm also in love with Francis. For the next part of what I want to say, in order to make sense, you need to know that my father died when I was 8, and Gord was one of the people who helped me work through a lot of the stuff about that. In any case, after we talked at length about the Great Eastern on the phone that day, Gord said he had something to ask of me. I thought I'd ask you, he said, if you could think up a list of best practices for a dad who might not get the time he wishes he could have with his daughter. I think it's probably the hardest thing I've ever written, but I wrote it, and I sent it in a care package of Newfoundlandish items. Purity peanut butter kisses, which he'd asked for, and a canned corn on the cob, which he did not. One of the things that I wrote in that letter to him was that if it felt okay to ask, he could ask his friends and family to write down stories, any and all kinds of stories about him that Frankie could have, which perhaps might need to be doled out at age-appropriate times. And it looks like we've started collecting a lot of these already. But if we can all take a minute, if we can, to write down anything we can, to find the bits of art and life that he left with all of us and share them with her, even the tiniest thing, I can tell you that that could mean an awful lot. But there's more than that, too. There's something I didn't put in the letter to Gord, because it's more to all of us than it is to him. Because even though it's true that Gord lives on in Frankie, she's got her own life to live. And she's not the only place where he is. He's in all of us, too. And as Frankie grows, maybe once in a while, she'll get to catch a glimpse of her father seeing her when she looks at us.
Thank you, Elsa. Pretty obvious that our speakers today were pretty amazing people in Gord's life. And thank you for being here and sharing. We're now going to hear from Nicole's Uncle Phil.
Wow, this is a tremendous get-together today. I'm Phil Weiner. I'm Nicole's uncle. I think her oldest uncle, although I'm not sure because of Jan's side of the family. But I asked Nikki if I could spend a few words and a few minutes talking about Gord and the impact he's had on me and our family. Gord was always the first to go out of his way to say hello whenever we got together at our annual Weiner Thanksgiving at Camp Maple Leaf. He always was the first to come to me and ask me whether or not all was good. He had the easiest way about him and is the most likable guy I know. I remember one time at Camp Maple Leaf he said to me, you know, you've got a lot in common with my brother, Graham. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it looks like in your family you've got all the hair. And so does my brother. Finally, I get to meet him. So much pleasure, Greg. You have to know that in our family, we don't really sing that well. We're terrible singers. We're musicians in a sense because we have a big heart for music. But a few years ago, we decided to celebrate Thanksgiving with the Winers with a karaoke machine. And I don't remember whose idea that was. It may have been something to do with Gord. Within a year, though, the karaoke progressed into a masquerade party. Themes changed from year to year. And soon enough, you saw in the pictures a reenactment of Charlie Brown by Gord in his beautiful yellow T-shirt, and Nicky dressed as Snooky from Jersey. And you know, Gord was the perfect Charlie Brown. He had that kid-like quality and that natural innocence. He had a natural willingness to sit and talk always, and always put everyone at ease. He had a twinkle in his eye and was forever curious, and always wanted to talk about music. That and his inherent artistic ability, his passion for music, was enough to start any conversation with me. Of course, Gord came from a different musical era than I was from. He was 20 years younger than me. He is 20 years younger. And then he grew up in more of an era of Jamaican sound clash and reggae, which I call noisy music. But he had a love for public radio, much as I do. And if you were looking at Gord's list online, you saw that his good friend Tom Sharpling from Radio Juggernaut in New Jersey, WFMU, was a recent contributor to the Friends of Gord's list. And I was so happy to see what he said. He said Gordy was a special guy, and I would always see in Toronto, and was an early supporter of my program. Gordy believed in musical magic, and he believed in the power of radio. Gord was really a great guy, and with his good friend Chris, Gord would make up CDs and review them with me when I was in Toronto. What a great list of stories this week we've had from Gord's list. And the story, in my mind, about home rock was written by his good friend. And he said, I think it was Chris. He said, Gord will always be the man who introduced me to the philosophy of home rock and what it meant to make music or art in your own home, on your own terms. He had a profound sense of community, and through music he taught me the true meaning of DIY, or do-it-yourself, and the importance of keeping things close to home. He said, I looked up to Gord, I feared Gord. He was the coolest guy around. In the very early 90s, we were at CFRU in Guelph and on the air, I think, and we were talking about the benefits of home recording in your bedroom and in your basement. I was always looking for Gord's approval, so I said to him, and you get a kick out, and I said to him, thinking that he would get a kick out of this, I said, and you know why recording at home, Gord, is the best? It's because home is where the heart is. Thinking he'd get a big kick out of that, he began to smile and his eyes grew bigger, and he slowly shook his head and said, no, Jim, home is where the rock is. And that's why we have these buttons today, thank goodness. Home is where the rock is. If I am ever there with him, no doubt, in the future, he would be the first guy, whenever I get to the Golden Gates, to say, here, Phil, listen to this. And I would be able to answer back, you know, Gord, I like it, but I really don't get it at all. Gord, listen to this. This is Frank Sinatra. Gord's sense of humor, his love for Nicky are with us all forever, and all of us have Gord in our lives forever. He is with us here today as we celebrate his true friendship, his friendship of a loving son and a husband and a wonderful father. God bless you, Gord.
Thank you, Phil. We're coming close to the end of the proceedings today, and I think right now would be a good time to observe a moment of silence for Gord. Thank you. Finally, I wrote down a few notes that are just from me. For Arlene. You've been a pillar of strength over these past few years. Not only with Gord, but with Paul as well. No wife and mother should have had to endure what you have had to deal with. I think you would have given your own life to save Gord. I feel very secure and sane that Gordy can rest in peace. Knowing that you and Nicole's mom and dad will be the best grandparents that Frankie could ever have. And then Nicole and Frankie will be part of the High family forever. Nicole. During the past week or so, I've come to know that Gordy was a very wise man. Very wise. I say that because he chose you to be his partner and his soulmate. But most importantly, the mother of his child. When we would see you at Arlene and Paul's house, we knew Gordy was the happiest guy in the world. I believe he loved you and Frankie more than words could describe. You're a very special lady. Gord knew that. I believe he also knew that the only woman in his world that he wanted to raise his child is you. His legacy will live through you.
I think she had a few words.
It's over. She can start crying. It is over. This final day, I don't know what to say. All his friends that spoke just probably said everything that anybody would want to hear, because that was Gord. Thanks to Jim Guthrie, who was the guitar soloist. And that's it. That concludes the service. Everyone is invited to attend a reception now at the other Crestmont facility located at 1020 Upper James. It's a large white house beside Williams Jewelers. Watch for the blue awning on the jewelry store. If you're not sure where Upper James is, there are maps out here, or I think there's some in the back. Grab one. It's only like 3 or 4 minutes from here, I think, not very far. And we'll see everybody there. Thank you.
Oh, yeah? Justin Burner's car.